Okay, I just wanted to stop back in real quick and kind of tell you where I'm at, because I didn't want to, have to post everything that I was doing, but I still want you to understand, kind of what I did. So I went ahead and sewed this. So I sewed the top piece here before I sewed the rest of it on, and you can see the 3 pieces here that I sewed, these pieces together. And then you can see I sewed the pockets on here as well, but I also sewed the top pieces of each of the pockets, and then I sewed it onto the paper itself. And then I went ahead and sewed on our tab that we made, so that's ready to go. And I went ahead and sewed around 3 edges of this top tuck that I made, and I just added a teeny little bit of glue, just a little tack glue on there to hold it together so that I could sew it when I sew this down. And this piece I haven't sewn on yet because I just wanted to kind of show you what I did. I did add a little piece of plastic in there for my window, and I cut out the piece of plastic just to fit on the page. I added a little bit of my 3-in-1 glue just to hold it in place. I kind of let it dry, and then I went ahead and sewed around the circle so that it would really stay in place. And then I also sewed this outer edge so that that will be where my pocket is, to go here. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew these 3 sides here so that pocket will be ready to go. And then I am also going to glue this envelope down. So I just have to decide which way I want it to go. And I think I'm going to have it go this way so that it's not going to kind of be in the way of the tucks. Not that I'm not sure it really matters too much, but I'm just going to glue it down here. And I think I've decided that I'm going to glue it all the way down because I don't think that having these sides open is really going to be, beneficial if things stick out because it's so close to these folds. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down and sew this on, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have my middle piece all together, and I love the way it's coming together. I have the pocket over here and the 2 pockets here. I may cut off some of these strings. I have a lot of them, and I love strings, but there is a lot on here. And then this is the side that we're going to glue down. Now, I was going to... I know I want to glue this down. I want this side to be glued down, but because I'm making this a flip, I'm going to have a hard time covering this spine if I don't put my spine fabric on here first. So before I put this down, I am going to put some spine fabric on here so that it is covered up nicely and ready to go for, any little decoration or something that I have in the end for this. So that being said, I am going to decide how wide I want it to be. So I know it needs to go at least a 1/2 inch to cover the spine. And then I may just cut it a 1/2 inch on either side. And then if I need to cut it down a little bit more, or if I move it off to this side a little bit, I think it'll be fine. So I'm going to cut it at what is that, 1.5 inches. And then when I glue it down, I'll decide how much I want showing on the front. And then anything extra will be underneath this piece when we put it down. So it'll be okay. So the first thing I need to do, though, is I need to just mark the height of my journal. And once again, I know it's 6 feet, but sometimes I think it's better to measure, right before you're doing something so that you're getting an accurate measure. So I'm going to use my rotary cutter for this. And actually, let's see how I'm going to do this. To move this out of the way so I don't end up cutting it. And I'm going to try to square this up fairly well here. So I'm going to get my height, and then this should also be good for the other side, the other spine. So I think that'll be nice. Excuse me, that I'll have, this is probably the height that I need here. Actually, let me just double check this. So this is my height. Yes. I mean, it looks like a square now, but I want to be sure I'm cutting from the edge that I measured. to do my 1.5 inches. And since I have another piece, I think I'm going to go ahead and take a chance and cut another 1.5 inch piece while I'm here. And then if I have to, you know, cut down another piece, I will, but since I'm pretty sure those covers are the same size, I'm just going to go ahead and take a chance. Okay, so now, so this is the front cover that I'm going to be putting this on. So like I said, we're going to need to, I'm going to have to try to figure out how to get this. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it on the front first. So I'm going to glue this part down, make sure I have it right where I want it. And then after that dries, then I will glue the spine, the next piece down, the spine down, and this down, because I want to be sure that it's, you know, folding the right way across the spine. So I'm going to want to glue it kind of in this shape, I think. So to do that well, I'm going to need to first glue it on the front and just the front, and then we'll be able to fold it around and glue it down. So this one, I don't know why, is looking a little small. That one looks a little better. That's what happened. I tell you to measure when you're doing it, and I still cut it a little too small. So, okay, so I think I want this to go over only about maybe 3/8 of an inch. I have to find a place on this ruler where I can see the marks. So I'm just going to mark it very lightly in a couple of spots to give myself a guide. And when I mark it, I'm going to almost try to mark it a little bit to the inside of where I want it to be. And then when I put this over, I'll just make sure it covers that line that I just made. Okay, so I'm going to grab the 3-in-1 glue again, and I'm just going to glue up to that line. Being fairly generous, but trying not to go over too much on that line. I don't really like that lid at all. Okay. So now I'm going to try and do this in the best way I can here. I'm trying to look for the side that looks, this is pretty close to the same on both sides, but I want to see the side that looks nicer. Okay. And that is going to grab pretty fast, but I am going to let it dry, and I'm just going to look at it and make sure it looks like it is even here, straight, before, you know, it really takes hold, which I think that it is. I think it's pretty good. All right, let's let that dry, and then we'll glue the rest of it down. Okay, I think we're pretty good and dry here now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add glue to my spine, and then I'm going to fold this over and add my fabric over here. And actually, I may, now that I'm looking at this, yeah, I think I'm going to. I was thinking maybe that I wouldn't put glue on the spine, but I am going to. I want it to be held in place, you know, pretty well. So it will open, I think, just fine. Oops. So actually, maybe this will work better. Okay, so I'm going to kind of prop it up here and then add glue to my spine. And then I didn't mark how far over it went. So maybe what I will do is I will just start adding a little glue here. And then I will add the rest of the glue to my fabric, because then that will be the edge. Now this is the part that, excuse me, will be hidden underneath our little flip that we made, our little accordion that we made. So it's okay if it is a little gluey, because it's going to be covered up with more glue. Okay, so I'm just going to take this now and fold it over, trying to keep everything nice and square and not wrinkled. I don't know what that is. Feels funny. Okay. So I'm just using my fingers now to kind of make sure it's all pressed down. I'm not going to flatten it out too much yet. I want this to kind of dry in this shape. And there is a little lump there from my knot, but it's not real noticeable unless you're putting your hands on it. So not too bad. Okay. And I have all sorts of things sticking to me. All right, let's go ahead and let this dry as well, and then we can add our accordion flip to that piece. Okay, I think this is pretty dry now, and I do like the look of that on the spine there. And I did just go and kind of grab some lace. I think when we're done, I'm going to finish this off with just a little bit of lace to kind of give this just a little bit extra look there. A little bit of decoration on there. So I just wanted to, I'm not going to do it yet, but that's going to be one of the very end things that I do, probably on the front and the back when we do that. Okay, so now we can put on our accordion here, and just make sure you have it right side up. And all we're going to do is we're going to glue this down right to here so that it will tuck right into there. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to, I should have left this upside down. I'm just going to add glue right to the back where I had made my X marks the spot. It's down there. Since we decided not to add any more pockets or anything, I'm just going to fill this in and glue it down. And one of the main things I'm trying to do is make sure that it's centered between the top and the bottom, and then also not off the edge of this piece of cover here. Now it's time to start working on this side, and I don't want it to be too complex because this side already takes up, quite a bit of space, but I do want something fun over here as well. So what I was thinking about doing was I pulled out all the scrap pieces of the kit that I have printed out, and I was thinking about just using one to make kind of a simple fold here that opens up with maybe a flap and a pocket here, and then probably, a pocket or two on the fold side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and actually I was thinking about, to make it easier to cut. Now this piece of paper, I have just blue on the background, so it doesn't matter what side is up or down. So I was thinking, if this is the side that's down and this is going to fold over here, then we'll have a nice blue cover there that I can add some ephemera and things to. But I thought this bottom piece would be, just the perfect amount to fold up into a pocket as well. So that being said, I'm just going to try to cut this at about double of what I want it to be. So I want to put this on the edge of the cardboard, giving myself about 1/8 of an inch gap so that it doesn't go into the crease there. And then what I'm going to do is find my pencil again that is missing. I don't know where I keep putting it. I don't know. Let me find another pencil here. Okay, so I'm just going to mark the first side. So I'm going to mark it about there. And then I'm going to cut this double. So whatever this length is, I'm going to cut that at the same length there. And what might make that easier for me is if I fold it on that mark so that I know where that should be. And so I think to make that easier, I'm just going to put a little mark in it with my nail so that I can see it from the other side. And I'm going to line this up. Ooh, that did not go straight. This is cardstock, so it wants to slide on me. Let me get my bone folder here. There we go. Okay, so that is my half fold. Now I'm just going to cut right along that edge, and maybe what I'll do is I will mark this a little bit too so I know kind of where to cut. Gosh, that really doesn't mark. I could really use my correct pencil. Makes it easier for me to mark things. Maybe I'll do it this way. Okay, so here is my half fold. I like that. And now I'm going to mark where I want my pocket to fold up. I went searching for my pencil because I need my pencil. Okay, so if I put this height-wise where I want it to sit at the top, about about 1/8 of an inch border there. And then I'm just going to feel down here where the bottom is and make a mark where I want the fold to go up for my pocket. So once again, I'm just going to do this kind of by adding a little mark with my fingernail there, and then find that mark and fold things over, trying to hold it so it doesn't move. Okay. So yes, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so now we have this little fold here, and actually I could do 2 pockets here if I wanted to. That might be fun. But let's see, I may just do, now that I see that there, I kind of like it like that. But I also like to see all of my stuff over here. So I think I'm going to cut that off. So what we're going to do is I want just this side to stay on, and I'm going to take this side off. So I'm going to cut this square out there. And then to change it up a little bit, now let me cut this out first here. Make sure I've got that on the line. I'm trying to go up to the fold, but not over the fold. I think I did that all right. It might even be easier to see it on this side. That didn't cut too pretty, did it? All right, might need to clean that edge up just a little bit. But I thought to change it up a little, it might be fun, instead of just having a straight pocket like they have all been, I might make it a little bit of a trimmed pocket. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a spot on the top of the pocket, like maybe about, looks like about 1.5 inches over from the edge, and I'm going to cut a straight line from this mark that I just made all the way down to this corner. And so we'll have kind of, it won't be a pocket, it'll be more of a tuck spot there. And let me see how I can do this so I don't cut off all of the rest of everything I got going on here. There and there. Oop, and I don't want to cut too far, so I cut into the top there. Okay, so actually I like that because then it shows my little birdies that are here. I think that's fun. So this is going to be just a little tuck spot here, so you will be able to tuck things right into there. I like that. Okay, so then that's that side. And then this side, I have lots of scraps and things here that I can work with. Actually, I have one little piece. See if I can find that. There's a nice little scrap. Oh, here. I thought we could do a side pocket on here. So we can match that up if I want, or not. Actually, maybe, ooh, I have an idea. Since this is all blue here, it might be fun to do like a little fold over tuck spot. So it'll just be right in the middle there, but this will break up that blue a little bit. And then this one will fold over and we'll have another tuck spot on the other side. So I'm gonna make a little score mark so I can fold this one, and we're gonna see if that'll work for me. So I'm just going to mark that about right there. And since I love this little, this is actually a photo card back. I love the way that looks, and it has Paris on there. Very nice. And then maybe what I can do for this side is make a tab for that. So let me see how I would do that with this. So I'm going to grab my tab board, and I'm going to cut it to decide how big I want the tab to be on this side. So let's say about right there. Looks like I'm marking it maybe 1.5 inches in on this side. I think that'll be fine. So first I'm just going to cut it down to that mark. And then on the small side here, I'm going to make myself a little tab. You could just cut this out, you know, based on a template if you wanted to, or if you have a tab board or something that does, you know, even just curled edges might be fine, but I thought doing this as a tab might be fun. Yeah. Move that guy out of the way. So this will be folded over like this, and then we'll have a little tuck here and a little tuck here and our pocket here, and then this whole thing will be glued down here. So I think that's going to work great. But what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to add some rounded corners, just kind of so it matches a little bit. I mean, the other side is a tab, but it has nice rounded corners. And then to put this on, I'm probably going to sew. So I've pretty much sewn everything else. So what I'm going to do for this sewing is I'm going to sew around this whole piece, and then I'm going to sew around this whole piece. And that's all I'll need to do, because since this is already attached at the bottom, sewing it is going to hold it in place. So before I sew it in place though, I may open this up and just sew along these two edges so that when I sew around it, this will also have sewn edges. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew these two, then I'm going to sew around the whole thing, and then I'm going to put this on. And actually, so this is sewn around the whole thing. when I put this on, then I'm just going to add a couple stitches to hold this in place. I may even sew this into when I sew around the whole thing. That might even be easier. So if I just sew around this, when I sew around the whole piece itself, that'll make that hold on there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll be right back. It's all sewn and I love it. I love that there's a little tuck spot here that'll hold things nicely, and one here. And then this is a nice little pocket right there. It's perfect. So then this is, we're going to sew, or I'm sorry, we're going to glue this down right onto here. And then we'll have our two sides ready to go, just like that. So let me grab some glue here. And move my beautiful threads out of the way. Line this side up, making sure it's relatively close to the edge. Hopefully I've made all my measurements correct here. And then make sure everything is pressed down very well. And then we will let this dry. But the other thing that I thought, while this is kind of drying, I think maybe I can, I cut out a bunch of the little pieces of ephemera from the kit, and I thought it might be fun to do some, you know, embellishing with this. So some of these little pieces I think would be perfect to, you know, put in different places, depending on where I think they might fit. So like that little bird might go right there as a little matching spot for this, or maybe even here. I think there's a lot of places in here I could add some embellishing to, just to kind of spiff it up a little bit. So while that's drying, I might add a couple of little pieces, and then we'll finish up after this is good and dry. I don't want to mess with it too much, but we'll put our spine on over here. Everything's now all dry, and you can see I added just a couple little pieces of ephemera here and there, just to, I don't know, spice things up a little bit. I also added one little circle here, and just to hold the flap of this envelope in. So to do that, I just punched out the circle and I added glue just to like the lower, I don't know, third or lower quarter portion here, and glued that down so that this part, the rest of it's free, and it will hold this flap in nicely, just like that. So this part is all done. So now I want to add, before I do the cover, I want to go ahead and finish adding this spine fabric. So we haven't finished this one off yet. I have my piece cut already, and since I'm going to be covering this up, I'm going to cut these two little pieces off there. But this one is going to go across this spine. And as I said before, it's going to go on top of this pocket here, but because the pocket's already down and ready to go, it's not going to affect it at all. It's just going to cover up some of it, which is okay. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to, with my glue, and actually I may just mark this a little bit like I had done before, so I kind of know where, how far to go with my glue. So I'm just gonna make a little mark on this side in a couple places, and then also on this side in a couple places. And I am gonna start with gluing one side down first so that it holds, and then we'll do the middle part and the other side. So I'm just going to put glue on this one side first. And then we'll put this on, lining it up with our pencil marks there. Looks like I got a little bit too much over there. And I'm just trying to make sure I don't have too much sticking out. And we're going to let that dry. And then we'll do the middle and the other side. Ready to glue the rest. So I think, like I had done before, I may just put the glue on the fabric and then fold it over. So I may have made those marks for nothing, but better to be safe than sorry. Oof. Get that glue on here. Okay. Now I'm going to keep it kind of bent up this way while I put it down. And I'll hold it on there. And then we'll let this dry as well. All dry now. And now our spines match. I love it. And I do think I'm going to take some of this trim that I have, and just on the outsides, because actually, well, I don't know how much I have. I could, let me just take this off here and see how much I have, because I don't know if I have enough to do all 4 edges of the spine fabrics, or if I can just do 2. So I have one here that I could do. And let's see, 2, 3. Oh, it looks like I might have enough to do all 4. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to line each of these edges with some of this trim, because I think that will finish it off quite nicely. So I'm just going to measure it up, pulling it not tight, but fairly taut, and then giving it a trim for each one of the sides. And then to put it on, I'm just going to use this 3-in-1 glue. So I'll do one, and then I'll go off camera and do the rest. So I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of glue on the edge of this fabric, and then we'll lay this right on there. Hopefully I didn't curl it down. And that's the thing about trim, you just kind of have to work with it to make sure it's nice and straight. On the fabric there. So you can see how that finishes that off, and I like that a lot. So then I'm going to do this one, and then on this side I'm going to do this one, and actually we don't need to do that one because it's covered by this. So just 2 more is what I need. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll be right back to finish up the cover, and this journal will be done. You can see I have my lace glued on, and it looks like there's a couple little spots I need to just kind of pull off here a little bit that kind of smushed out, but I really like the finished look that gives to this. So it's on all 3 of the spine edges that show. Now I could put something here, I guess, if I wanted to, but I don't think I would like if it would stick over on that side. So I like this just the way it is. And to finish things off, I had made these pieces for the front, and so we just need to figure out where they need to go and put them down. So I like this configuration a lot. We have the blues on there, and I like this little label kind of as just a little book tab there that you could add a label to. All right, this time I think I'm going to use my glitter glue for this, since I kind of know where I want everything to be. think I always put a little too much glue on. And it starts smooshing out the sides. So I'm going to try not to put that much on this one. Okay. All right, it's all done. Here is our do-si-do journal with a journal on one side and another cover with our flips and folds in the other side. So when you open this, you have all of our flips and folds, and then you flip it over and you have your journal over here. So I love this little do-si-do journal and how it turned out. And I hope that you enjoyed making this with me. If you like this video, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. And I hope that I'll see you back here for my next video, friends. Take care and have a great day.